Alrighty. Let's make sure things are working, eh? Alright. Hush. I don't want the computer speakers coming through. My voice is a little shut. But why is my bitrate so low? What's going on with my bit rate? There you go, settle down. Alright, I think getting things figured out properly. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just getting things dialed up and ready to go. If I can find where my friends list went. There it is. Is that a lobby? Oh, I need to enable crossplay. Okay. Stand by. Game options. Settings. Crossplay. Enabled. Good. Okay. Now I should. Okay. People don't even remember what they've signed up for. They're like, why am I being pinged for a lobby? I mean, is Nordy anything but disastrous in a lobby? And also, it is the Cursed Grand Prix series, so expect disaster to be the normal thing. So I'm looking forward to disaster and potential shambles. Got about 9 minutes or so. Until we get ready for the start of the Cursed Grand Prix series. Cruzo has said there may be some weather shenanigans in this one. No, right now it looks to be set as dynamic. But as the Cursed Grand Prix series from the calendar you see on screen there, we do go to Bahrain next, and that is going to be Bahrain, even though it says Bahrain. But it is going to be a full wet race there in Bahrain. Abu Dhabi after that is going to be F2 cars. Then you have Baku, which is going to be no damage, but it does have that lovely crazy wall, so look out for that in turn 14. And a little bit more bumper cars-ish action. I don't remember off the top of my head what the remaining two races were. I'll just wait for the calendar to come back around on screen, as I think people are getting things figured out here. Cursed Grand Prix series is ready to rock. What else we got? Welcome, viewers, to the off-season, first of the off-season events that we have here. Season 6 had a nice little wrap-up and finished up, and we are getting ready for the Cruzo Special, which is the Cursed Grand Prix series. And we'll start relatively low curse level as we are in China. We do have, okay, so that's next. So after Baku, we do have the Wingdings return to Miami. We haven't decided on what kind of curse that's going to be. But then a full distance sim damage Monaco to round out the Cursed Grand Prix series, brought to you by Cruzo and not officially Rich Energy, although this would be about the only level of F1 they could afford to sponsor these days. So congratulations to William Story. This is all those tweets about getting back into F1 and getting their title back on the grid. It is here. It is going to be not officially. No, don't quote me on that. Don't sue me, Rich Energy. Although, with what money? It is purely parody at this point. But they are back on the grid, and I think we're getting crossplay set up and ready. Alrighty, we're getting there. 6 drivers in the grid. I think we're supposed to have around 14. Slowly rolling in. That is relatively full, which is good because my throat is still a little bit destroyed. Alrighty, let's settle in. What time we got? 12:57. We're still working on getting the crossplay people in because apparently, need to have things set up beforehand that people did not set up beforehand for crossplay. Do I have a message in the game? What is this? Mail? No, I don't have any mail. Ah, look at all this no mail. What if I don't want to claim? Fine, I'll claim all. Oh, they did like a special USA thing. Ah, looks like now the weather has indeed been set to full wet. It should be just a bundle of fun. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the start of this weekend as we get ready to rock and roll pretty soon here. What else we got? Okay, so Nordi is in the Alpine. We got Stark and Arend in the Mercedes. Cruzo is in a Ferrari. Interesting. Not in the Haas. Do I have anybody on my friends list? That's not the button I want to hit. Go away. Relaxing and enjoying as we wait for this lovely action to get underway. Let me just make sure everything else is good and set up while I am looking. It seems to be quite good. Just looks like none of the cross-play drivers have made it in just yet. It is active. We may see a couple PlayStation drivers. And we'll get ready to get underway relatively soon. Soon. Hello, Turbo. Welcome to the stream. We're just a couple minutes behind schedule because it wouldn't be cursed if we were on time. So now... we got 17 drivers. That's a pretty hefty load. As much as I don't like to say the term hefty load. Hey, the last Xbox race started on time. What might be the last Xbox race of all time actually started on time, the Brazil race. So I'm looking forward to seeing how So we've got just random weather in different, well, custom weather in every slot. But Cruzo said it was just random. So it's saying full wet. We'll just have to really rely on the weather. Is this about to run out? No, we still got 4 minutes. All right, I think we're close to getting ready to go. Let me just make sure everything is like... all good. I am set as spectator, which is very important. And, I think we're trying to see if we can gather anybody else to fill out last 3 slots. Otherwise, see if we can get Knack Track in here. Turbo, why don't you jump into this race? Nobody's practiced for it. It's rainy China. You too, Reno. Everybody in. So what? Do it from like your cell phone or something. Use like a remote play and drive the race from your phone. Just be special with it. Race, crash, it's the same thing, always. It's the Cursed Grand Prix series where we are very much more tongue-in-cheek. The competition level, while still fierce, is a little bit more prone to shimbolicness. And I think I need to actually set this to loop. Set that to loop. There we go. We're about to run out of time. On the pre-roll, which is 20 minutes long. And we're still just about ready. Let us rock and roll. It is time for one such Cursed Grand Prix. Drivers are ready up. We are close to rocking and rolling. There we go. 10 of 17. Countdown timer has indeed begun. It looks like it's going to be a short qualifying session plus a 50% distance race today. I didn't have a whole lot of time for a super cursed intro. This will be a placeholder. I'm going to make a more cursed intro for next week because I was only able to really decide to do it right at the last second. But here it is. Hello, you lovely, lovely fools, and we are here for the off-season event, the Cursed Grand Prix Series. It is all cross-play division this time around. We're here at round 1 in Shanghai, China. Here is the circuit, 5.4 kilometers around. 16 turns to navigate with a bunch of drivers who have had virtually no practice with it so far. Of course, just the three DRS zones? 2, I think. I don't know. There's a number of DRS zones, but the only thing to expect in the Cursed Grand Prix series is the unexpected. That is your track fact for today. We'll take a look at some of the action zones coming up, but of course, with the potential for weather, could get interesting. But turn 6, the hairpin where Danny Rick had made a late send on one Sebastian Vettel, is a good overtaking opportunity in the first sector. That hairpin, not a DRS zone, but a good run. And of course, down the long back straight, turn 14, that final hairpin is your next best overtaking opportunity. Tires aren't going to matter for much if the weather is as we think it is, but softs, mediums, and hards. Mediums about 0.7 of a second lap slower, hards about 1.5. As far as tire life goes in this 28 lap race, 21 laps can be done on the hards, 16 on the mediums, 9 on the softs, so a very short lifespan on the softs. But be ready for people to have to make an early tire switch or frequent tire switches, as I've been told that the weather has been slapped to as random as possible. And it looks like drivers are finally about to get out on the track. Let me just get things dialed up. And we will bring the screen up. And here we go. Looks like Wilco is the furthest. No, Chronicle is the furthest around on this first outlap of the session. And it is intermediate conditions at this point, as we see some drivers on the inter tires. All drivers on the intermediate tires. So, wet weather for this qualifying session will be a fun one to take part in. Let me just make a quick adjustment here so I can see, there we go, the Discord and the chat at the same time. Oh. No setups are on. That's fun. So it's all just the preset setup. So the Cursed continues. And it's who's going to be adaptable. Well, it'll be the first driver to start a flying lap. We'll jump on board with the Chronicle as they head out of the final. Oba Mendez is in the pit lane on some soft compound tires at the moment. We may see some drying actually over the course of this qualifying session if the timer is to be believed. Still the usual FRS format today. 18-minute qualifying session and one 50% distance race. Let's just get the tire selections out of the way. But you can see just how slow you have to maneuver that first couple of corners, especially in this wet conditions. It does appear that Cruzo is pushing quite hard on the rear of this McLaren. He's right in the gearbox almost and has already set a faster first sector by a good 1/10 of a second. Oh, big slide from the Ferrari in the background. That is Cruzo. So big snap of oversteer, and that is not going to help their second sector time at all to start with. So down into the middle portion of the lap. The second sector, very tricky to get the traction down. This double left-hander is an easy place to lose the rear of the car. The McLaren still carrying that Singapore special livery, which looks pretty good, yeah? Looks like Ririn has gone a little bit quicker in the first sector, and purple in the second sector goes Cruzo behind the McLaren here, and well, they look to be pretty much all. We might see an overtake in down this front back straight here. We'll actually jump on board Cruzo. It's not gonna actually. I think it's gonna actually be costing him a little bit of time in this lap because he's stuck behind the McLaren of Chronicle ahead. Oh, very late on the brakes. It's a little nip and tuck between the two, and I think Cruzo just didn't give himself enough of a back. He's going to try and make an overtake in a qualifying lap, and this is what the Cursed Grand Prix series is for, and very wide goes both. He's going to invalidate on that lap. Chronicle is going to set the fastest lap of the session, and we will jump on board now next to Ririn, who has gone purple in the middle sector and looks to be the first real attacking driver. Has some clean track in front of them. Looks like in P6, Mako at the moment has just invalidated. It looks like they've just dropped off the timing sheets that I have. Ririn goes fastest overall. We'll go to Wilco next, who is just working their way through the final couple of corners ahead of Archduke Oregano, who's finishing up what I would guess is invalid lap. So Wilco across the line goes second overall. We will grab the Mercedes of Stark, who is the next furthest around, 0.8 of a second off of the current provisional pole time. And it looks like green sectors for drivers, but nobody's setting the timing sheet alight just yet. We'll keep an eye out and see if anybody is going to go ahead. There seems to be a large train of cars stacked up for the final sector through that kind of snail bit. But yeah, Riri showing some very good pace. Had won the PlayStation division pretty handily. Showed very well in the cross-play test we did in PC Div R at the end of the season. And once again, right on top of the timing sheet. Stark next across the line. Goes provisionally P2 into the 45. So 45.9. Pathaman's going to be next across. Can they find it? They're into the 48s. Bananarama we will grab is the Aston Martin. Nope, Alfa Romeo. I can totally say correct teams. And the drivers are all very, very happy that they have only the presets to choose from as far as setups. Dr. Zados has set 2 purple sectors. We will grab their lap as soon as Bananarama crosses that line. Dr. Zados in 13th at the moment. Somebody set a faster first sector. That is likely Opa Mendes, I think it might be. And it does appear that the track is drying out, so we'll see drivers getting faster and faster as this session goes on. If we grab the onboard, you see the rain is no longer falling, so we are into a drying portion of the qualifying session. So these lap times will continue to fall as we keep going. And yeah, 43 down into there. We'll grab Jamie in the Red Bull this time. Still on the intermediate tires. Still intermediate conditions for these drivers, but it should be slicks before the end of it. Still 10 minutes left to go in the qualifying session. Just a little over the halfway mark. And I think we may have a good opportunity to see some late lunges for pole position. So it could get very, very spicy at the end, and we will see if drivers just opt to sit in the pit lane and wait for it to dry out. At the very end, oh, look at that catch, the oversteer through that long right-hander. Manages to keep it pointed in the right direction. 2 green sectors for Jamie, but Stark goes provisionally onto pole position, so goes even a little bit quicker. Does the Mercedes of Stark. Pathaman up into 5th as they've done another lap there. Where is Zados going to shake, or Jamie going to shake out Elliott to the top of the timing sheets? So timings are falling. We will grab Jamie out of the final corner there. Manages to go into 4th. I believe it's Bananarama is going to be next across the line. They look to be improving by just a little bit, not a huge improvement. Oba Mendes is on slicks. He's gone very wide, though. Manages to stay valid. He's had a good first sector, but has abandoned the middle part of the lap. So the track is definitely drying out a bit. That is a Ferrari going slowly. Let me see if I can find. That is Zados, who has not improved. Wilco is going to be next up. Is he coming into it? Nope. He's going to stay out, finish this lap. Can they cross the line with some time? They are going to find a 44.5. DRS now enabled. So we should see drivers starting to pile out onto the circuit with their dry tires as it gets interesting. And well, here comes our end on an outlap, trying to get by the Alfa Romeo that's on the inters, and that's going to be quite the traffic jam that's been sorted up here. So drivers trying to find a little bit of space on the track with the differing tire conditions, making it very tough. Arn just trying to back up the pack. I believe Pathaman might be coming through on a lap at the moment. So there's definitely some level of impeding going on, I'm sure. But it's just impossible to really get out of the way. I think that's held up over Mendes, actually. And now Williams going by our end, who's really just having a massive struggle finding clean track. Oba Mendes has found some time. Will it be enough? Bananarama goes fastest, still on the intermediate tires, but wide is Oba Mendes, and That is that entire lap. A 38 thrown away. So who is going to set the first fast flying lap here? Bananarama has just finished one. Brad Spit on an out lap. I think we may have... let's see if I can find somebody bright and shiny. That might be Nordy for far around. Okay. So we will grab our end, who I believe is on the furthest around on the lap. Or is it Mako? It's Mako. He's on the dries. I can totally find what drivers are doing what. But we're on slick tires now as the track continues to dry. It's still not in the full dry conditions. But big improvements for Mako in the first sector. Finds about 2 seconds on Bananarama's ultimate pace. Not a purple sector, as Oba Mendez, I believe, had the purple first sector from switching onto those dries. But now, here comes Mako catching up with some of these slower moving cars. He's got to try and find his way. There we go. Wide is the Alfa Romeo, so he manages to sneak his way through nice and comfortably that time by. Sets the purple middle sector. 5 seconds the improvement, as you would expect on the dry tires. So it may be a case of whoever can get the last good lap in is going to be sitting on pole position and could really shake up the order for the start of this race. Now, I'm expecting we will see some rain and some chaos in the actual race itself. There's only 6 minutes left to go in this session, so we are getting down to the dying moments. Now here comes Mako for the first real representative. Ririn goes 33.8. Mako for the next representative lap time 34. So Ririn had actually gotten out a little bit ahead of that group. I'm usually looking for the Ferrari for Ririn, but our end goes up into third. Brad Spit is going to be, I believe, next across the line. We'll just keep an eye as drivers jump up the timing sheets. I think Elliott is close to finishing a lap. Perhaps. Where's Elliott? Yep, Elliott's right here. Well, it looks like they may be recharging the battery. I don't think it's a perfect lap. Yeah, minute 58. So they are charging the battery back up to go for another run. Pathaman coming across the line to start a flyer. Yeah, Nordy is around on a hot lap. I believe Brad is a little bit further around. We'll grab Nordy just after we get done with Mr. Brad Spit. And the sun is out, and we've got some stark shadows now. So we are getting the drying track. Brad Spit across the line goes fourth. Let's grab Nordy, who's going to be next across this start-finish line. Still 5 minutes left to go in the session, so just about enough time to get in and back out. Nordy 34.5 will be next across the line, up into third. Looks like some yellow flags in the final sector. We'll see if anybody's finishing laps. It looks like a Red Bull into the pits, although that may be a Williams or an Alpine. We don't know because there's so many just blue dots. Crossing the line is a Ferrari. That was Cruzo. No improvement found there. We'll stay with the Alpha Tauri as they look to set their first valid lap time. Didn't do any laps on the Inters. And I think we've got an Aston Martin and a Mercedes looking to finish. Mercedes into the pit lane. Aston Martin crosses the line. Zados goes provisionally P2. Core 42 next across the line. Provisional pole this time by. So good run from them there. Puts them on to provisional pole position. I believe it is Wilco out of the last hairpin. And it's a tricky final corner to keep the car in bounds on that left-hander, but stays in bounds, goes to a 44.5, finds a little bit of time. Chronicle is going to be next. Where will they be as they cross the line? They are still on that 47.2, no improvement as they had to back out of that lap. Brad Spit has lost a bit of time through the first 2 sectors and will not improve this time by. That is Elliott. We will keep an eye on Elliott here, who is looking to move up the grid order. We've got a Mercedes about to cross the line. I believe that is Stark, and they are going to go to 34.8, so they're just behind their Mercedes teammate today, our end. See, I believe that might be Cruzo coming up to the line next. Yeah, now has found that dry tire pace. Needs to just stay in bounds for the last corner. Across the line they go into the 35s. They'll put them provisionally 10th overall. I believe that is Bananarama just behind. Next up across the line. Still no improvements to be found for the Aston Martin, so still having some level of trouble. Zados, believe, will be into the pit lane, as will Alight. That does mean that Elliott has taken a Cruisogenes style line and just cut the entire hairpin. Yes, track limits are on. And there's a crash, and that they're lucky to not be out of the session. But front wing now missing, and it's going to be real tight for them to get in and back out for another lap. Wilco just starting the final lap of the session. It looks like Elliott just didn't get the car slowed down enough. We'll keep an eye. I believe Stark may still be on a recharge. He's not on an active lap. Brad Spitt into the pit lane. Wilco needs to find a little bit of time. So we'll just keep an eye out on which driver decides to pop up and see who is going quickly. Is that Cruzo down the back straight? Not improving, so I don't believe that Cruzo is going to find any time on this lap unless they've managed to recharge the battery to have one final crack at a fast lap in this one. Oba Mendez is on the circuit, finding some time through the first two sectors. Goes purple in the middle sector according to the game, although that is often a bug. So winding up for the final lap, it looks like is one of the Mercedes out of the final corner on the minimap. Then down the long back straight comes the Haas. Rear wing flips open a good third of the way down the straight. And we will see, can Oba Mendez get themselves up towards the top of the timing sheets on their soft compound tires? Just needs one more corner to stay in bounds with. Zados is out of the session, is retired in the pit lane, so they are done with their laps. 33.5 the time to beat. PlayStation at the top two slots so far in this one. Oba Mendez does find some time, goes 13th overall. I believe that is, who is that even that is crossing the line? It's one of the blue cars, probably Nordy. Doesn't look to have found any kind of improvement. Jamie is winding up for a final go if they've saved the battery that they need. And let's just find out who we've got. That is Arend coming through the left-hander, looking to improve. No, they're looking to start their flying lap, rather. It's hard to tell who's starting laps and who's ending laps. Mako across the line. Looks to be on it for their final flying lap. Light, I believe. Nope, that's the wrong button. There's the right button. Elliott is out. Elliott has retired from the session. The checkered flag is now waving. Bananarama into the pit lane. Stark out of the final corners, found 3/10. Can he stay in bounds? He's run a bit wide, stays valid. 34.8. Does not improve with that last running wide there. Pathaman, I think, is looking to get that final valid lap in. Just needs to stay in bounds in this last corner. They will improve off of their intermediate tire time. Up they go. Archduke Oregano, another one trying to get off that wet weather time as Oba Mendez went straight on in the hairpin. And in they go. P11, who is next across the line? Rereen is already in. Which blue dot is it? Nordy, next across the line, finds 0.6 of a second, goes provisionally P3, so puts themselves on the second row. I believe Jamie has invalidated. They're next across the line. Our end. Can they find it in the final couple of corners? Through the left-hander, stays just in bounds, straight lines the exit as much as they can, goes to 33.8, so goes provisionally onto the front row. Mako crosses the line, unable to improve there. Core about a 10th down at the second sector split. If they can find it in the last corner, they may extend their provisional pole advantage. They don't. They do stay on provisional pole, but no faster time for them. And I believe, looking up and down the timing sheets, there we go. Couple drivers, Jamie and Chronicle, not really getting in a valid lap after it switched to the dry running. So they are sitting on their intermediate lap times. But otherwise, two PlayStation drivers taking the top issue. The top ones. First and second for the PlayStation drivers for locking out the front row. And the last corner catching out a lot of drivers for track limits. But Cora on top, Rireen second. Arend and Nordy make up the second row. Elliott, Dr. Zados, Mako, Stark, Brad Spit, Captain Wilco rounds out the top 10. Archduke Oregano in 11th, Pathaman 12th. Cruzo in 13th, Bananarama 14th, Obermanes 15th. Jamie and Chronicle unable to set valid final laps. We'll see, did they just invalidate them? No valid laps. Invalidated lap on their one attempt. So it did come down to just barely getting there. So we'll take a moment while drivers get their stuff set up. Oh, stream was... Yeah, it helps if the stream's not muted because then you can actually hear me speaking. But yeah, a couple drivers unable to get the final runs in after it got back to dry running. Such as that last corner is a massive troublemaker. And we will see what kind of weather is in store for us in the race, as Cruzo did it in the cursed way, and I'm looking at a pit lane that is... Well, I'll show you. That is the pit lane. And people have readied up already. Oh my god, people have readied up already. So, I don't even know what the... what the actual formation lap is on. So, I hope everybody's ready. You're just going to have to play it by... There's no planning for this. You just go. You hope. You hope for the best. And let's see, what is the set? Let me just be ready to silence David Croft. Nope, we are straight into the race. No formation lap. 5 red lights are up and ready. And the lights are out, and away they go. The light gets a good run. Nordy, a slow run off the line, is dropping positions as people struggle to find the grip. And Rireen has taken P1. A little bit of contact maybe between Zados and Arend in the back. Nordy shuffling all the way down the order. A little bit of contact in the middle. And oh, there's a big crash. Arend is caught up in it. And it looks like there's some wing damage on a few of the drivers. Arend all the way to the back of the field. And side by side goes this little group just ahead with Mako and Pathaman. Core still duking it out with Rireen, as it looks like they've recovered from the slowish start. And off the line they go. Pathaman dropping down the order. Brad Spit dropping down the order. It looks like there's been a spin from several of these drivers. Still yellow flags out in this all wet conditions, but it looks like it is going to, over the course of the race, steadily dry out. We'll grab this battle, Nordy, Archie, and it looks like Elliott's starting on the intermediate tires. An interesting call. Is going to have to survive probably about 10-15 minutes, it looks like, from the weather forecast before those inters become really runnable. But if they can survive the opening stint, it does save them the pit stop. So as long as they're not losing 20 seconds before that first pit stop, they will come out essentially ahead. They will have some worn intermediate tires by the end of it. But there is some serious defending going on. Inside, outside, and then Nordy holds that space off at the front. But Rireen back in the lead of this race, now trying to run away from their PlayStation rival. Stark in third, and there's yellow flags at the hairpin. It looks like there has been a bit of a spin and some slow-moving cars down in the pack. And side by side looks like the Williams of Elliott and Bananarama go side by side, as there's a little contact between them. And they managed to continue on. So elbows are very much out at the start of this race, and Elliott all the way down now to 13th on those intermediate tires. Bananarama, Wilco, and Pathaman into this long right-hander. The switch is back. A little bit of contact as they understeer out wide, does Pathaman. And it looks like that is actually going to give them the nose ahead, maybe, that they need. No, Bananarama's carried the momentum around the outside. Into the pit lane are Arend and Jamie, likely for damage repairs needing to be done. Damage repairs. Oh, and contact. Wilco and Bananarama. It looks like they've come together. Elliott still trying to find their way, their feet on these intermediate tires, but it's so wet that there's just no grip on those inters. They're now 16 seconds off the lead after starting in the top 2 rows. So it's gone from bad to worse for Elliott. Up the inside is Pathman as they continue their fight with Wilco and the McLaren. A little wiggle on power as they try and get the throttle down out at the front. About half a second covering Rireen and a light core. Mako now starting to look for a move on. Stark has the inside line of this long sweeping right-hander. Who can get the drive? Who's got the straight line speed? Over the course of the regular season, Stark had the straight line speed covered with his custom setup. I imagine he probably went for the increased top speed preset, as they only had the opportunity for the preset choices. But it looks like Stark gets it turned into the corner and manages to just about survive. There's some more shambles. Nordy is facing the wrong way. Rireen sets the fastest lap of the race, as that would indicate we are starting to see the weather turn a little bit, but there was quite a mess as cars all got kind of held up behind, and the cursed weather is delivering some cursed performances. Stark very wide as Mako is up the inside of him into turn 1 and 2. Switches back to left-hander, and it looks like Mako has it covered. It's PlayStation, all PlayStation podium 1, 2, 3. No Xbox representatives in this race. Where are my Xbox friends at? Because I feel like there's a certain LC fighter that would probably give these PlayStation peeps a run for their money. But Pathaman Chronicle duking it out further down in the pack in this absolutely cursed weather. Let's get some video. Get some nice clean screens, as that's the way to do it. Right off the road. They do have some end plate damage. We'll take a look at the lead battle as well, which is getting interesting. We're gonna go on vibes for a moment here and see what we can catch with a clean screen. Don't at me that I am getting footage for Cursed Grand Prix intros, or any intros really. It's also a filming day for me. Here we go. We have Cruzo and Archduke, the 2 Ferraris running line astern. It looks like the closest battle on track is the one between the 2 Ferraris, P5 and P6. Oba Mendez in 12th. I have Brad Spitt in 14th. The next one's closest to light. Closing up on Rireen down the straights, it would appear, but not enough to make any kind of move affected in there. Chronicle just sitting on the border of the points at this stage, and there is yellow flags, and that is a Mercedes that has fallen off the track, has gone to the intermediate tires, have both Jamie and Arend. So after that change, and we've got a Oba Mendez off the track going slowly. Looks like Chronicle going to sneak back past. It looks like an attempted overtake from Oba Mendez didn't quite come off. Brad Spitt now working their way past Pathaman, and Elliott now 30 seconds off the lead. Those intermediate tires have absolutely not worked. Track decided not to show up and defend his title, and I don't know why. It's a little sad. But it is also the Cursed Grand Prix series, and maybe you only need to win one race, and everybody else just kind of bins themselves in the rest of the event. So you never know with the Cursed Grand Prix series. It could get interesting. Zado's up the inside of one Cruzo, as the Aston Martin takes the position away. The Ferrari, though, not yielding just yet. Still has some switchbacks to try and navigate. Around the outside goes the Ferrari. Can they keep it on track as they battle now out of the next corner? A little wide on the exit, but stays just right there alongside. Can they be late enough on the brakes, or will they lock up and go straight on? It looks like they have managed to keep this battle continuing once again around this double right-hander. Keeping the back end in check is so crucial. There's the wiggle as he's getting on the power out of that corner, and that is going to cost him the momentum all the way down the stretch. tucking into the slipstream. Can they make a late lunge into the braking zone? Pulls to the outside. The Aston Martin stays defensive to the inside. Cruzo very late on the brakes. It looks like they might have the overspeed they need around the outside. Have they managed to make that move stick? So far, so good. They're going to have to defend into this left-hander, and it looks like they've managed to hold it off. Rearing sets a new fastest lap of the race, but Zato and Cruzo duking it out. The Div 2 champion really making Cruzo work for it, and Cruzo making Div 2 champion work very hard as well, as that battle went back and forth for quite a while. We are looking for the track to start drying out relatively soon here, according to the weather report I've got on hand. It should go to an inters phase for a few minutes before it gets to full dry. We're looking at about 10 minutes of inters type weather, and then should be cloudy but dry the rest of the way. We are 28 laps this race, 5 laps into it. It looks like Zatos has gotten quite a good switchback on Cruzo, but Cruzo gets the power down quite nicely. We'll take a look at this battle between Oba Mendez and Brad Spitt. Oba Mendez cuts the corner and picks up the instant penalty. Chronicle down into 15th has had a pit stop. So Pathaman and Chronicle going to, I would assume, the intermediate tires already. So yeah, Chronicle has pitted, gone on to the inter tires. I think they may have had a moment as well, although just based on the gaps to Pathaman and Elliott. So they may have had a moment, a half spin that made them go, I want to get new tires. But Rireen losing the position to Alight. The Alight, though, has gone very deep. Has gone off the track and is going to have to yield that position back. Zatos on Cruzo. Arend is out of the session. So Arend is crashed, and that's going to be a full safety car. Right as this group comes around the final corner, who's going to be the first to take the pit lane? It looks like the leaders have managed to snag the pit lane before getting picked up by the safety car. Wow. So, surely everybody is into the pit lane. Oh, Zatos with a penalty for a collision with Cruzo. So, inters. Mako, Archduke, Stark all in. Stark onto the inters. And, well, we're going to bunch the field right back up. But we've only probably got about 5... the weather report is saying a little over 5 minutes worth of damp tire running. Is this a case where it may start to dry up by the time that the race actually gets properly restarted? But let's take a look. Biggest gainers and losers so far today. Elliott down 8 positions with that intermediate tire gamble. Has to come in for another set, so no benefit gain for them. Archduke Oregano, Cruzo, Bananarama all up 6 places. Chronicle up 2. And, yeah, it looks like it was some challenging conditions, especially out with the preset ones. But sorry to see the early retirement, but it wouldn't be a Cursed Grand Prix series without some safety cars, wouldn't it? So, we hang out for a moment, and Oba Mendez is on soft tires. Oba Mendez, in P11, has bolted on some soft tires. It's not stopped raining yet, and, well, I think you can see the result of what those soft tires are doing for him, and that is making his job very difficult. Aquaplane, that sucks. Well, I've got good and bad news for you, Aaron. Next race, you get another shot at it. Bad news, it's going to be in the rain again because it's the cursed rain, although it will be rain the whole way. Oba Mendez, I think, is losing time to the field. While they're trying to bunch the field up, I don't think Oba Mendez is literally able to be fast enough on these soft tires to actually catch the field. He's gone very deep again. You literally can't keep the car on the track. I think he's made a huge, huge error. Cruzo has stayed on the full wets, an interesting decision, as I think we are fairly squarely in intermediate time. Yes, it's not called the Cursed Grand Prix Series for nothing. Wilco is out. Wilco has crashed. On his way into the pit lane, it would appear. Let's see if we can see that. Well, maybe we won't because Oba Mendez literally can't keep the car on the track. He's got to come into the pit lane. Okay, Zados and Cruzo into the pits to likely serve their 5-second penalties. Kin couldn't really see. Oh, wow. Yeah, kind of on the way into the pit lane. And Oba Mendez has stayed out on those tires. Zados is now onto medium tires. That is an interesting decision. I'm confused by what people are doing strategically. Because Oba Mendez literally cannot catch the field. They are going to be some 20 seconds behind the field because Oba Mendez literally cannot catch the field with these soft tires. There's no grip. I would guess we may see the safety car come in this lap. It's been out for 3 laps. It's not going to wait forever for the field because Oba Mendez is making some inroads into the safety car, but Oba Mendez is an absolute sitting duck. When this race goes green again, he's got a pile of cars with intermediate tires behind him. Let's take a look. Does the safety car get called in this lap? They will likely do it once they hit the back stretch. Well, just CGPS things. The medium tires are an even more inexplicable choice from Zados. I don't know that they're even going to get any temperature into those tires. Is it possible to get temperature into these mediums at this stage? I'm trying to look closely at the steering wheel. It appears his tire temperatures are under 60 degrees Celsius, which is horrible. There's no temperature in those tires. Oba Mendez is starting to catch the pack up a little bit, but I mean, it's an ordeal for some of these drivers. Has Alight been off the track? No, he's into the pit lane again. Let's see what he does. Is this another one gambling for slick tires? Hard tires. So even worse tires for keeping temperature in them. It's a gamble. The rain's still falling. Softs you could maybe get away with while the rain is still coming down just in the last stages. I don't think there's any way that these hard tires get up to temperature. I think all 3 of our slick tire runners are in a bit of trouble. We will see. The rain is still falling on the halos. We should be back to racing this lap. I don't think they'll wait for an extra pit stop. So how many pit stops have people taken? Cruzo, Zados, and Alight have taken 2 pit stops. They went on to the inters and then on to slicks. Cruzo went from the wets to the wets to the inters. Zados from wets to inters to mediums. Alight from wets to inters to hards. Rereen in the lead with Mako second. Stark, Archduke Oregano, Banana and Nordy all on intermediate tires. Oba Mendez in 7th on softs has at least managed to catch up to the pack. The safety car is indeed in this lap. And now Alight's should be able to catch the field. But I think they're going to have a whale of a time getting temperature into their tires. As you just see them skating. And now there's a mess because somebody is pulled alongside someone else. And now it's saying overtake, overtake, overtake. And now, so now this entire group has messed themselves up significantly with overlap by not sorting themselves out. Well, just Cursed Grand Prix Series things. We'll stay with the leader, Rereen, as they get ready to restart this race. And they've bolted. Have they bolted? No, they accelerated very hard, but that may not be looked on very nicely. You need to keep a consistent pace. I think they got auto braked because the safety car had not yet made it into the pit lane. All right, well, we're back to racing. We will keep an eye on one Oba Mendez, if we can, and watch him go straight on. Just got through the corner Not very fast, but he has kept the car on track. Cruzo has overtaken Chronicle. Chronicle's up to 10th. He just jumped that whole pack, and Obermendez shuffled all the way down to 13th now. The slick tire test, I don't think is working at all. Zados is now 4 seconds off the back. Let's grab the mid pack where a certain Elliott is attacking Nordy, and I think Elliott would like to get past Nordy here. Of course, Elliott famously has said that the Alpine is worth half a second to him. No need to apologize, Wilco. I was just sorry to see you out of the race under safety car conditions. It's a bummer that you were forced to retire so early in this cursed race, but away we go, and Elliott still hunting down Nordy. Cruzo also looking to make a move. But all the drivers on slick tires are a pit stop behind. They're already over a pit stop behind. So whatever gamble they've made has not come off. Rereen sets fast lap of the race. On the engines, side by side is Elliott and Nordy, and they have a little bit of a touch. I think there may have been a little bit of a pinch to the apex. And Nordy has a half spin, recovers, keeps it out of the barriers, but they are going to drop back to the tail end of the correct tire runners. I'll just out and say it, because right now the dry tire runners continue to lose ground. So let's grab the fastest lap, because everybody's essentially setting fastest laps. Rereen out in front, 44s. Meanwhile, the dry tire runners, 51s and 53s. Up the inside is Jamie, getting the elbows out on Cruzo. Cruzo's still fighting around the outside. Can he keep the nose ahead? It looks like Jamie has got it nearly covered, but Cruzo has had good traction in the second phase. A little wiggle from Jamie, and that is going to allow Cruzo to hold that place off from the Red Bull. Of course, very close up to the gearbox of Chronicle is one Cruzo de Cesaris. And can he make a move stick? The field is actually spread a little bit after that restart. 1 second, pretty much the measure of the day. You'll see if Cruzo is going to have an opportunity. Needs to kind of try and clear Chronicle. There's some quicker drivers kind of being held up in the bottle. They jump on board. A little correction from the rear end, but the rain has stopped falling, so we are on our way to dry tire situations. 28 seconds is the gap down to the first dry tire runners, as Elliott has made a move stick. It looks like, does that start? Oh, into the pit lanes early. So Archduke stays out, but Riri, Mako, Stark all into the pits. So now is the next strategy change. Medium tires for Stark, may be able to get to the end of the race. Chronicle, though, speeding in the pit lane penalty, not ideal. DRS enabled, so this was indeed the crossover point. Where does that pack of dry tire runners come out relative to this group? Oh, and Stark, a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit. A little wiggle under power and and they've kind of had stepped out, but back into 7th. Top 4 runners still on the intermediate tires, and it may be just about what these back 3 needed. Bananarama is on to softs, an interesting choice. Oba Mendez just went back onto the inters, so now he's going to have to pit again. So he gave up on the dry tire experiment, literally the lap it was finally going to start working. And is now going to have to pit again. I think Oba Mendez is pretty much out of the race almost entirely. But up at the front, the virtual front, Rireen and Mako very close together, but Mako on the soft tires, they won't make the end of the race. Mediums should get to the end. Softs are only going to be good for about 9 or 10 laps. Cruzo picks up a 3-second time penalty for their multiple warnings. This is absolutely the view I wanted to see for an overtaking attempt, is looking at the rear wing of the overtaking car. But rear wing now flips open. To the inside goes Mako. should be with DRS a relatively straightforward pass, but it looks like Ririne a little bit later on the brakes. Can they hang around the outside? Nope, they cannot get the move done. Core now starting to catch up to Stark, has made the move on Zados. So those hard tires will get to the end of the race. Into the pit lane are those top 4. Ririne and Mako, if I can grab that battle. Mako has stayed ahead. But Core setting fastest lap of the race on those hard tires. So a good run from them. Although this is the first lap that all those drivers that have made the pit stop will get their flying laps done in. But close battle up at the front. Zados and Core nearby to each other. And there's a bit of a tire differential between the two of them. It looks a little deep is Ririne into the hairpin of turn 6. One of our overtaking option zones here around the circuit, but no move coming off just yet in that one as the sun is starting to come out. We are creeping up towards the halfway point of this race, and we should have dry running the rest of the way according to the weather report. But let's check up on Bananarama and Archduke Oregano. One driver who signed up tentative for this race and then didn't know what the ping was about when we pinged him for the race, but was reminded, has showed up and is turning in a good performance, on pace nearly to start closing up to the top 5. Ririne and Mako still within that DRS split of each other, so we'll grab this battle real quick. We'll keep an eye as it looks like Elliott sizing up a move on Bananarama. Nothing coming off there. Elliott to the inside. They've both got DRS. Looks like Elliott, though, has the release off of that long snail right hand of the corner and is going to have the nose ahead and in the braking zone on those hard tires. Can go to the end of the race. Mako, of course, setting fastest lap of the race with those soft tires. You would expect. Let's see if anybody else is going to take that timing away from them. It looks to be pretty much up and down the field that lap times are falling, but not falling fast enough. 0.6 the gap between the leader, and it's actually dropped now to 0.4. A very good exit out of the opening complex for Ririne. Now it's just all about staying very, very close. Stark needs to try and start to stretch his legs a little bit. Core has the hard tires on, so they will come around towards the end of the race and become a more valuable one. But it's a PlayStation 1, 2, 4. The 3 cross-play drivers in this one. Ririne holding up very tightly, a little wide, although Stark carrying that 5-second time penalty is going to cost him a potential podium in this one. Let's just get things right. There we go. Back to where we need to go, but we'll stay with this lead battle for the moment. It looks like Bananarama may be sizing up a re-attack on Elliott, and we'll jump to them if nothing comes of this move down the straight. DRS flips open. Can Ririne get the overlap they need in the braking zone? Closing. They're to the inside on the brakes. And it looks like up and under goes Mako. He's going for the cutback. Let Ririne go deep, but it looks like Ririne's just going to hold the nose ahead. It is going to be a second dose of DRS for Mako, though, as they come down into turn 1. Ririne taking up the middle of the track. A little bit of an outside squeeze, maybe trying to take the Aston Martin offline, but around the outside goes Mako. Uses that extra tire grip for those soft tires, and down into turn 2. Manages to make that re-attack stick nicely. We'll grab Jamie in the Red Bull, catching up to Cruzo, who's got some time penalties to serve, and wide a little bit is Cruzo on that long right-hander. Half of the race left to go. 14 of 28 laps in the books so far. And it is indeed a battle for the lead between the two PlayStation drivers, Mako and Ririne. Almost cuts the corner, does Jamie. A little early on the right-hand kink. Not going to be in a position to overtake Cruzo this time by. So now we set up once more for the re-attacking proposition. Stark starting to open a little bit of a gap, almost 2 seconds to Core behind as that battle has settled down. Archduke Oregano now starting to close up on Dr. Zados as we wait for that rear wing to flip open on the Williams. Unfamiliar colors for the Ferrari champion Ririne in PlayStation. Switches it to the outside, and it looks like they've just about got it covered. The up and under Does it come off? It doesn't quite look like it. We'll grab this battle here as Archduke Oregano now to the inside of Dr. Zados. Has those soft compound tires. Gives just about enough space on the outside. And it looks like Archduke is going to hold it for the moment. But the re-attack with DRS down into turn 1. Jamie has made a move on Cruzo in the background there. And it looks like Archduke is going to hold the lead now, or hold the lead over Zados. Further down the field, Jamie and Cruzo battling it out. To the inside goes Jamie, and with the DRS this time, flicks it into turn 1. The change of direction into turn 1 on these cars is absolutely impressive. But now Cruzo's got some work to do. And Stark also making some work done. We'll grab the lead battle once again because it continues to rage on, and we will just kind of hop between all these battles up and down the field. And the first Cursed Grand Prix of this off-season event. Rearing really closing up. I think those soft tires, 4 laps in, they are starting to feel some age. Those soft tire runners are going to start to feel some pressure. And you can see just the release that Rearing is getting. Indicates that there is indeed good pace. Cruzo with another 3-second time penalty, and I think this move will be relatively clinical for the Williams driver down into the hairpin. We'll keep an eye on Archduke Oregano next. Is Zados going to try and have a bit of a lunge from far back? No, they're not in position to really make an attack. We'll grab this lead battle once again. 7/10 nearly the gap as Mako, I think the best of those soft tires is done, and they will start to fall back. Stark still continuing to stretch his legs over Core. 2.6 seconds of margin. Needs to find 5 seconds, though, in order to negate that time penalty and hope for no more safety cars, of course. Chronicle in the points-paying positions for the moment. He will lose a place to Jamie and maybe Brad Spitt, so he's right on the border of picking up a point today in P10. But your running order: Rearing, Mako, Stark, Alight, Archduke, Dr. Zados, Elliott, Bananarama, Chronicle, and Jamie rounding out the top 10. Cruzo, Brad Spitt, Pathaman, Nordy, and Oba Mendez, your remaining 5 runners. Wilco and Arend, your only 2 retirements, both under 1 safety car condition, initially brought out by Arend's retirement, and then a crash from Wilco on the way towards the pit lane, saying it was a steam overlay lag that did him in. So Oba Mendez picking up a 5-second time penalty right away for that corner cutting. I believe that is on the apex of the hairpin. But Riri not able to run away from Mako just yet. Still has some life in those soft tires. The DRS is open, closing down this back straight, but is it going to be close enough? Doesn't seem to be. And that is the end of that attack. We'll stay with now Dr. Zados next into the braking zone of the hairpin as the cars hammer down the gears into that slow corner. Pathaman trying to make a move on Brad Spitt, goes to the outside. Brad Spitt defensive to the inside, just has to tuck back in. And Pathaman takes up the defensive line on the inside. Brad Spitt a little bit deep in the hairpin. Is that going to open the door for Nordy to get through? He's got a bit of a run, but no, just has to back out of it. Chronicle has overtaken Bananarama. No, Bananarama looks like into the pit lane. So Bananarama coming into the pits, making a change of tire already at this stage of the race. Should be able to go to the end. They're getting off those soft tires, which are really feeling the heat. Mako doing well to stay with Rireen on those soft tires. The more they can stretch those out, the better. They may even be close if they can do another 2 laps or so to get it to another set of softs to the end, although the mediums now would probably be the safer overall bet. But Jamie now putting the pressure on the McLaren ahead and trying to find a way through. Brad Spitt and Pathaman, that battle still raging on with Nordy involved just outside the points paying positions. They need to try and sort themselves out because then they can start to chase down Cruzo. Looks like Zados has made a move on Archduke Oregano a little bit up into an unconventional overtaking spot. They head into the snail section right as we're arriving now, but very defensive is Chronicle on this one. Lots of pressure from Jamie. We'll grab the battle between Archduke and Dr. Zados real quick. We'll get back on that battle with Chronicle and Jamie very soon. It looks like Archduke down the inside Zato's holding the outside, is late enough on the brakes. And they will continue to fight. We'll keep an eye. It looks like Jamie closing. Is he going to have nose ahead? It looks like deep is Chronicle. Chronicle's gone deep off the track. And that is it. Mako into the pit lane, getting off of those soft compound tires as well. So, pit stop for the Aston Martin driver. Chronicle, though, at least able to hang on to the DRS from the car ahead after going very deep into the hairpin. Cruzo, another 3-second time penalties as he is making up the track, it would appear at this point. Reareen's got some gap. Stark still opening the gap, 3.6 seconds to a light behind. He needs to press on while those mediums are still doing their duty. Still 10 laps left to go in this race. We may see another flurry of pit stop action. The way the field spread is, Mako dropped down to 9th, so it looks to be about 20 seconds or so of a time. So around goes Zato's too much right foot in that tricky right-hander, and around he goes. Archduke Oregano finally has the pressure relieved, but we'll have Elliott now closing up. Chronicle with a 3-second time penalty. Where do they carry? They're carrying 8 seconds worth of time penalties now. That could take them completely out of the points-paying positions. Oba Mendez into the pit lane with a 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty as well. So no good news for them. Jamie with 3 seconds worth of time penalties. Mako now having to try and work their way back through the field. Has gone for the medium tires. And now has to make up quite a bit of a margin. Reareen and Stark, I believe, it'll be close. I believe they can get to the end of the race on the mediums. I believe it's about 16 laps of life. I don't remember off the top of my head, even though I showed it in the pre-show. But it's really going to come down to what they can do. Archduke is in trouble with their soft tires. They're going to need to make a pit stop relatively soon. Brad Spitt is into the pit stops and speeding into the pit lane. Mako making his way around the outside of Chronicle, manages to dispatch the McLaren. Now has his sights set on the Red Bull ahead of Jamie. Mako has lost a little bit of time to the leader, having to make these overtakes. So Reareen still has a pit stop in hand over Mako at this stage. Be very close. They would come out fighting, but Reareen would be able to come in and get tires to get to the end. However, a light on their, if I can find the right thing, a light 11 laps done on those hard compound tires, a couple of them under safety car. Should be able to get to the end of the race relatively easily on those hard tires, even though they're a few laps older than the mediums. That may be what is allowing Stark to just continue to eke out the gap, but it looks like Mako really getting the move done. I think he may have pulled that one off. And around is Jamie, so mistake on throttle there. Another driver having a spin. And that is going to shuffle them back towards Cruzo once again. And DRS and a clear track ahead of Mako, now looking to hunt down his temporary Aston Martin teammate of Dr. Zados. A little further down, Nordy is around. Maybe there was contact, couldn't really tell from that angle, but Pathaman looks to have gotten the move done. I don't know. Nordy may have had some rear end contact. They got pushed around by Pathaman, so we'll just have to wait and see if we can get onboards from the drivers, but very, very hard to tell. Next closest battle, Cruzo and Jamie. Jamie only carrying 3 seconds of time penalties. Cruzo with 9. So a significant amount of time penalties. Elliott is actually closed right up to Archduke Oregano, who is absolutely in pain with those soft compound tires. He's got to make a pit stop or they will puncture. At this point, he's got to try and hope for a safety car is really Archduke's only hope. But in trouble. A light starting to eat into the gap of Stark now. 3.5 seconds now down to 3 seconds. So it is getting closer. Stark doesn't look like he will be able to cover that 5-second time penalty, although Mako still having to do quite a bit of work. Still about 20 seconds off the race lead. So Mako still only just starting to eke into their competitor's gap out at the front. So it's still hovering right around 20 seconds. Elliott late on the brakes on those hards, gets to the inside, has gone a little deep, it would appear. The cutback for Archduke. Squirrely, though, on the power, and that is going to be Elliott straight in and almost sending it right off the track. Is Archduke, he's almost done a Hamilton, but he's managed to stay out of the wall. He's nearly pulled a Lewis and put it in the bin. But into the pit lane goes the Oregano. Cruzo still fighting for his position. Oregano on to another set of soft tires. Should get to the end of the race relatively comfortably, though. It won't be the fastest way. They will degrade pretty heavily. Around lap 4, we're seeing, is when they start to really die out. And Core really taking chunks out of Stark now. He's taking about 3/10 in just about a lap that time by. We are down to just 7 laps left to go in this one. Stark looking to probably definitely lose his position on the penalty unless there's a mistake from Core. And Elliott is pressing hard, needs to find some time to catch up to this lead pack. But Rireen, with some daylight on those medium tires, should be able to casually kind of cruise their way to another race victory. Mako has found the tail end of his Aston Martin teammate, Dr. Zados. PlayStation versus PC. PC Division 2 champion and a PlayStation Division 1 championship hopeful last season. And he's got the slipstream. He will have the DRS and has got the tire life advantage. When is he going to pull out? To the inside goes Zados, heavily defensive. And he's going to just tuck back in. Doesn't have the tires to really fight it. Mako able to take the ideal racing line. And now has to find 5 seconds to strike off after Elliott, who is on a set of hard tires. 2.7 seconds the margin from Alight to Stark, so it's stabilized a little bit. If I can just get the right thing, we'll check the fastest laps. Mako still carrying the fastest lap point by virtue of being on those soft tires and really pelting one in. So the leader, Mako, now 19 seconds. Found about a second on Rireen over the past 2 laps, but it's not going to be quite enough. A 1.35 for PlayStation this time. Holding 2 of the podium places, and it looks like it will be a 1.2 for PlayStation after Stark's penalty gets applied, as a light core is still hovering well within that 5-second margin. Elliott not quite eating into the gap. Mako, though, is making some headway into Elliott. Has a back marker to navigate. I believe is Oba Mendes, who is taken to the wide outside line in a relatively safe fashion and has let those 2 lead drivers through. Pathaman starting to challenge Chronicle for some extra points. Has the penalty advantage on Chronicle, but is going to need to make a little bit of ground and would just feel good to make an overtake happen on the circuit. But it is the one of the closest battles on track. Jamie and Cruzo still duking it out as well, although Cruzo carrying much more penalties right behind the Red Bull of Jamie, so will likely lose that place and even the one to Bananarama. Now, if Archduke, and around his Pathaman, a big snap of oversteer out of the hairpin, and that is going to be a mistake from Pathaman. Nordy gets back through up into 8th. As they have been swapped back around. Core now 1.9 seconds off of Stark. Just 6 laps left to go in this race. And it's still the closest battle on track now. Pathaman and Nordy. Archduke is into the pit lane. He's gone off of another set of soft tires. He's into the pits. So should have been able to get to the end of the race on those tires. I'm not sure why he's made that extra pit stop. But he has. Surely he's put on inters. So that is very Cursed Grand Prix. Doesn't appear to be raining yet. There's it is. There is some rain falling. Good call, Wilco. It wasn't showing on my side, but into the pit lanes for inters. It's actually not even showing that there is chance of rain on my weather overlay. So interesting. Things get interesting. 5 laps left to go. Is the pace slow enough? Oh, and there's a safety car. There's a full safety car. Somebody has had a mistake. There's a full safety car, I believe it's called. So surely everybody boxes for the intermediates now. Into the pit lane goes Rireen. Don't do a Lewis Hamilton. And this is the worst, and Bananarama has sped under the safety car. This is not ideal for Stark, because with only a few laps left to go, now has 5 seconds of penalties. Eases his way into the pit lane, and we should see everybody swap on. I'm not sure what brought that safety car out, honestly. Oh, he is serving the 5 seconds, though. That is a good point that I did not notice. He is going to serve that 5 seconds, so he'll drop behind Core on track, but now we'll have that 5-second penalty removed. Is going to get back out ahead of Elliott. Is anybody staying on the circuit? Rireen put on softs. Rireen, I think, has just thrown this race away. Unless it's going to go back to dry. Unless it goes back to dry, Rireen has thrown this race away. I don't think the soft tires are going to have the grip they need. Everybody else on to inters. Pathman's in. We'll see what Pathman and Bananarama do. They need to change for their tires. Bananarama onto inters as is. So Rireen now up behind the safety car as the pack now gathers. I think Rireen has lost this race. You can see how much the struggle is on power. Yeah. Likely didn't get the tire switch in time. I guess if you're rearing, you probably pit for wets and just hope it really starts chucking it down. I mean, if you go on to inters, you're just on the same tire as everyone else. You just gotta kind of, unless you think you can make a lot of overtakes in 3 laps. So in comes Rireen, as expected, to get off of those soft tires, but much more careful on the way into the pit lane. Not like USA. But wow. A mistake made. They are onto intermediate tires, but look how far down the field they will fall. I think they might not. It's going to be close. They're going to be right ahead of this group with Chronicle, I think. They're on the circuit. They're just behind Chronicle and Cruzo. So they managed to slot in, but 9th. So that is a huge time loss. I think we'll have one more lap under safety car, and then it will have to send it back to green. Zados is getting his lovely connection. Connection problems, which always come at the worst possible time. But yeah, a Jeff or Mark error. And that's that. That's tough. That's tough for Rearing to get that sort of thing to happen. But here we are as the field is bunching up. We wait as everybody now on the intermediate tires. Bananarama has a drive through to serve. So that is going to be it for them. Zados able to reconnect before the end of the race. Safety car will not be in this lap. It will be in the next lap because it has to be. It will always give 2 green flag laps of racing as we see the Obermendez making contact with Rearing in the order there. And that might DSQ Obermendez. They're carrying 30 seconds of time penalties. Usually that's where it cuts you off and DSQs you. Interesting. Well, we're going to have a shootout, 2-lap shootout to the end. And yeah, lap 27, lap 28 in intermediate conditions. Unless it starts really chucking it down, and then it could get really interesting. There's some overlapping going on a little further down the field. Guys, stop overlapping. There's literally no need for it. Well, what do we think is going to happen? Core is in an ideal position. Stark has managed to clear that 5-second time penalty. Elliott is a good overtaker and quite aggressive when they're confident, and they're sitting in P3. I would assume they're feeling rather confident. Mako in the PlayStation in 4th has made up that time. He's gotten back into to 4th place. Rireen in 9th has some ground to make up. They do have 2 drivers with penalties ahead of them. I do believe that the lap down car of Oba Mendes has fallen to the back of the field. They've dropped themselves to the back of the field, so they're not in the way of anybody. Well, safety car is now in this lap, so we wait for Core to back the pack up and lead this restart. It's a long way for that safety car to get away down the field. So you do need to kind of slow up the pack a bit. Otherwise, it will not get into the pit lane quick enough. Warming the tires, they're slowing down. It's not the most ideal restart I've ever seen. It's a little sloppy. But safety car's still not into the pit lane yet. They've got to wait a while. And they might even get auto brake, so be ready for the disaster. To the final corner. Now they've gone. They've bolted. Away they go. No auto brake. The car's into the pit lane. Elliott has gotten a tremendous restart, already pulling alongside Stark down into turn 1. It looks like some contact a little further back, and that is Pathaman off the track, and all the way off the track goes Stark. Side by side, a little contact with Elliott and Mako, and there's a big shakeup in the order now as Stark slots back in. Oh, contact! Cruzo into the back of Zados. It looks like they've kept it going straight ahead. Rireen up into 8th, now 7th, has made their way down the inside of Chronicle and Nordy. Stark now has to try and get himself back onto the podium. Down the inside into turn 6 is the Mercedes. Just about runs into the back of Elliott. Squeezes Mako right to the edge of the track. Has managed to regain that podium position. But getting away from it free and clear is Core up in first. 1.3 seconds the margin. Nordy now fighting for points paying positions. Rireen now on the back of Zados. Has the inside of this left-hander. Rireen in the PlayStation. And then the Williams, off the track is Cruzo, another 3-second time penalty, so he will drop back another spot. Rireen now on track for the top 5 if they can hold this position. Around the outside goes Cruzo, trying to hold off the Williams of Rireen. Switches the inside for the Williams. Now on throttle through this long right-hander. Tricky, looks like a little bit of a snap of oversteer from Rireen. That's going to rob them of some momentum down the back straight. Nordy is around. Nordy and Brad Spitt have come together. And around they go down into the last lap about to start. Down the inside is Rireen, late on the brakes. Another Ferrari looking to send it on McLaren. Deep, though, is Rireen off the track. That may cost them the position to Zados. No, they've managed to hold it. Elliott now 1.4 seconds out of Stark. Stark has Mako all over the gearbox, though, and is going to come down to this last lap. Very wide are the Red Bull and the Ferrari off the track. We'll keep an eye out on this battle for the final podium place. Although, actually, is Rireen going to get up the inside? That's not Rireen. There's Rireen. Up the inside of Cruzo. It's going to switch to the outside for this double left-hander. Can they make it stick? Not quite. It looks like Mako has got a run on Stark. Off the track is Rireen. They've had a big snap of oversteer in the background. And off they go, and the recovery drive is just falling apart. Stark a little wide on the exit, but just needs to hold on. Rireen down into 7th now. Archduke Oregano and Jamie fighting it out down in there. Looks like Archduke has gotten ahead. Time penalties, though. Bananarama, a drive-through, he cannot serve. There's not enough laps left. Yellow flags, as that is Brad Spitt off the track, so that will be converted into a 20-second time penalty for Bananarama. All even on time penalties, though, between Jamie and Archduke Oregano, so 3 seconds apiece. Cruzo will fall down the order with their 17 seconds worth of time penalties. Now, Mako trying to get a move done on the Mercedes. Looks like he's got the inside. On the throttle they go. It's going to be a drag race down the back straight. Who's got the wings set lower? Stark dipping into the slipstream, picking up some momentum, has the outside. It looks like he's gotten fully ahead. Under braking, Elliott or Mako up the inside. Can Stark hold it around the outside? We'll just have to wait and see. Stark has lost the position to Mako. A bit of a snap, but he's got the inside once again. We aren't even going to see the leader cross the line. Core across the line is going to take the race win. Off the track is Mako. 3 wide. It is Stark, Mako, and Cruzo across the line. Mako takes the place. Stark in 4th. Zados in 5th. Ririne comes home 6th. Archduke Oregano 7th. Jamie in 8th. Chronicle 9th. Cruzo falls to 10th place. Manages to stay in the points as Bananarama with that unserved drive-through. No, Pathaman jumps them both up into 10th place as now Bananarama crosses the line. What a finish at the end there. 3 wide across the line. It didn't really matter where Cruzo was going to cross the line. He was going to get dropped by time penalties, but way to stick it out and fight it. Wow. What a finish from that one. Oba Mendez is having a bit of a tough finish to this one. He's on the hard compound tires. Just has to work their way around, but well, Cursed Grand Prix delivers. We went from full wet to enter to dry to enter. And that is it. Ririne had the opportunity for the race win, ends up coming home 6th with a technical switch to the wrong tires. Obermendez just tiptoeing around, gone very wide. And Obermendez will work their way rather unceremoniously around. So interesting though, 35 seconds of time penalties, but not a DSQ. Usually 30 seconds is a DSQ, but it looks like that it's not the case. And now that my voice had nearly recovered, and I just ruined it on that last lap. Wow. Well, that wasn't a fun one. Hopefully, you guys show up for the next one. We do have Bahrain with rain coming later. It's the next round. So, if you didn't get enough wet running, you will get more. You'll get more running for the end of this Cursed Grand Prix series is up. Six races scheduled. Bahrain is the next one, then Abu Dhabi and F2 cars after that. So, top step of the podium, though, goes to Alight. P2 goes to Elliott, and P3 rocks up one Mako, holds fast lap point. And you have Stark, Zados, Ririne, Archduke Oregano, Jamie, Chronicle, Pathaman, Brad Spitt, Cruzo, Bananarama, Nordy, Obermendez, and then Wilco and Arend. Your only 2 retirements in this race. But what a fantastic way to kick off the Cursed Grand Prix series. Wow, that was a good one. That was a good one. Hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. Had as much fun as I did. And we've got more Cursed Grand Prix coming as this off-season continues. So, it will run on this normal Friday Division R slot when it does come around. So keep an eye out on the channel Fridays around 8 p.m. UTC. And that is when we will have the Cursed Grand Prix series running. So next time out will be Bahrain in full wet conditions, I believe. It may be inters. It's some kind of wet is what we're getting at. Then Abu Dhabi, where we've run out of money and now we can only run F2 cars. is the tagline for that one. Then we have Baku, Azerbaijan, which has its relatively still broken Tech Pro barriers in the high-speed kink section. And as when I just learned to love the wall. Hold on. Cruzo wrote a great way to describe it. So, Cursed Grand Prix Series. We've just finished the Chinese Grand Prix. Relatively cursed with some random weather. Then the cursed Bahrain Grand Prix, emphasis on the rain. After that is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We ran out of money, go borrow an F2 car. Round 4, the cursed Azerbaijan Grand Prix or Baku, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the wall. Round 5 will be in Miami with Miami Strikes Back. We don't know what the special thing is going to be for that one yet. We're still figuring it out. It could be a game time decision, but as I said in the pre-show, the only thing you can expect in the Cursed Grand Prix series is the unexpected. And then the final round will be a Monaco Grand Prix. Word is that it is a 100% distance race with sim damage. So expect like 17 pit stops a day in that one. And it should be good. But thank you all for joining me once again. Y'all have a great day. I will see you next time. Peace out.